we just felt, well, if we're going to create our own race, we want to do something different. And we had tons of ideas, things we want to change and do different, and just sort of, sort of challenge the norm.
Welcome to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun Podcast. I'm Chip.
I'm Chris, and this is episode 72 of the show. We got something pretty awesome for you in this show, so just be ready. Unless you've been living under a rock and that rock didn't have Wi-Fi access, then you probably heard about the EX Swim Run's ARC Supersprint event that happened over the weekend. This was the first of its kind of event, basically a world championship for the first time. Winners were crowned, and we have the race director mastermind behind this event, Nicholas Roman, on the show to chat all about it. So super stoked for this one, and more on that later in the show. Yes,
on to our training update. So Chris and I were so stoked. We had a great 2-hour swim run planned, but we were absolutely just crushed by the irony that unfolded on Saturday for us. We had a 2-hour swim run practice at a new area, McNear's Beach, which we've tried to do a couple swim runs in the San Rafael area, but it was low tide.
And low tide was coming.
Low tide was coming. We thought we were out ahead of it, but as the morning unfolded, low tide got lower and lower, and in between we just were literally sticks in the mud.
Yeah,
so we had to pull the plug on that one after a little bit, so it was a little bit more run heavy.
Yeah, on the bright side, we didn't lose any shoes.
That's true. We didn't lose any shoes. We didn't lose any Frank paddles in the muck or any expense. I would have cried tears. Onward and upward, we're going to give it a second shot here this week, so stay tuned for that report.
This is some real talk, in case you think we got it all figured out.
No.
We really don't.
We don't. So on to this week's shout-outs.
Yeah, so this week we're shouting out Justin Searcy. He's been going through our old catalog of shows, which frankly it's a little embarrassing listening back to some of those old shows, but he slid into our DMs with some great ear recommendations for me, which I really appreciate.
Earplug.
What'd I say?
Ear.
Yes, earplug. Earplug recommendations.
I think the ears you have are just fine.
What? Come again?
Huh?
I didn't hear that.
I said.
What? Anyway, super cool of you, Justin, for reaching out. Really appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for listening.
On to this week's Feats of Endurance.
Endurance.
Feet. This week's winner is Marie Anderson. I think it's only fitting that this week's winner is somebody from our Strava club that completed this first of its kind EX ARC Super Sprint swim run event over the weekend. Great job out there, Marie. If you want to join in the fun, be sure to join the Low Tide Boyz Strava Club. So go in there, join 200 plus of your fellow swim runners as they train all over the world. Give the kudos, receive the kudos, swap training tips, chat, all sorts of stuff. Get in there, have some fun. Now, get ready for a hefty, I'm excited. The This Week in Swim Run series segment, powered by raceid.com, is getting heftier and heftier. That means swim run is happening more and more.
Yeah, it's becoming a lot more work.
It's becoming more
Just
work.
Saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
So race directors try to limit how many we're doing every weekend because it's laborious. Anyway, take it away, Chris. This Week in Swim Run, powered by raceid.com. We still have time for the intro music.
All right, as Chipper mentioned, there's a lot of news to share this week. Sport of Swim Run saw something completely novel happen over the weekend. EX Swim Run hosted the ARC Super Sprint Invitational. It was the world's first swim run super sprint. The course was super short. It was 1.2 kilometers in total distance, consisting of 2 run legs for a total of 1,000 meters, 700 at the start, 300 at the end with a big hill.
Lactic hill,
and a 200-meter swim leg in between. Probably comes at no surprise that Desiree Anderson, friend of the show, won on the women's side, and on the men's side, Max Anderson took first place. We have an interview with Nicholas coming up.
There, yeah.
So stay tuned. This is just foreshadowing for a really great interview. So in other news, our friends at Swimrun Portugal recently announced that they have a new race, the Lagoa Swim Run, and it will be taking place on Halloween, October 31st. This race looks like it hugs the southern coastline of the city of Lagoa in the Algarve. Portugal. The Algarve region. And our super extensive internet research, about 30 seconds on Google, showed us that this location looks to be like an incredible location for a swim run. Registration isn't open yet, so make sure you're following them on Instagram to get all the details on that. In local news, the next 2 swim run events in the U.S. look like they will definitely be happening. The Bellingham Swim Run, hosted by Quest Races and friend of the pod, Brett Mulsbury, is scheduled to happen on Sunday, June 6th. So you can get all the details on their website, and we link that in the show notes. A week later, the PBR Swimrun Knox event is happening on Sunday, June 13th in Knoxville, Tennessee, in case that wasn't obvious. This race has a long course of 17.2 total miles and a short course of 8.2 total miles. So there's options for everyone. Registration is open now, so head over to their website to learn more. And if you want to know what swimrun events are happening in the U.S., all you need to do is go to the lowtideboyz.com.
We got you covered. We got you covered.
We're not guaranteeing that that's the complete list, but we're trying.
And if you have anything to add on that list in the U.S.,
let us know.
Hit us up, and we'll be sure to add it right on there.
Definitely. So that's it for this week. Feel free to email us and tip us off of any events or swimrun news that you'd like for us to share on this show.
Now on to updates. So our latest episode of Gear Talk with our friends, the Swimrun Labs, just dropped. We're reviewing the new Orza Swimrun pull buoy, and we thought it was great. Or did we?
Dun, dun, dun.
Listen to find out. The only way to check it out is in the same podcast feed that you're listening to this goodness, and you'll see it pop in there as a bonus episode. And yes, let us know what you thought. If you have any suggestions on gear or any of the goodness that you want us to review, again, shoot that our way.
Yeah.
So we have a few discount codes to share with folks, and get ready right now. Get those pens and papers ready. If you're looking to do an Odyssey swim run race, who isn't? You should be definitely doing that. Use the code LOWTIDE15, and you'll save 15% off your registration. We anticipate all the races selling out, so get off the fence and don't wait on that. We have Ludington coming up. We're doing personally Casco Bay, Austin, Orcas.
Not in that order.
Not in that order, but those are the ones that we're doing. It's heating up. The weather's getting nicer. People are getting out and about. And if you're looking to kind of dial in your nutrition strategy, our friends and friends of the show, Precision Hydration, has set up the discount code LOWTIDE21, which will also save you 15% off your order there. The code is good through the end of May, so don't wait too long if you're looking to stock up to get your hydration needs met this summer. We know we put in a hefty order because we love the stuff.
My order just arrived.
Ooh.
I'm very excited. I mean, kind of
giant
self-serving.
box.
It's a pretty big box.
Giant box.
Pretty
Nice.
big box. That should be good for the summer, though.
And as a programming alert, if we know there's a few of you who can't get enough Low Tide Boyz in your life, well, you're in luck. Next week, we'll be taking over Odyssey Swim Run's Instagram feed. And we're impressed that Lars turned the keys over to us again. So anyway, we're going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff there all week long, including giving away some prizes. So be sure to stay tuned to that. Now, on to this week's interview with Nicholas Roman.
So I have to say, I think that I'm really excited about this interview for a couple of reasons. One, the sport of swim run is still so young that, Nicholas and the EX Swim Run folks literally came up with a new format that hadn't been done before. So it's great that race just happened. It's great that we're able to get him on this right away so we could, while striking while the iron's hot, it makes us feel kind of like we're journalists. But yeah, it sounded like a really cool event sponsored by ARC, which you got to give it up to them for totally supporting new innovative things in the sport. So in this interview, we chat with Nicholas about how this event even came about. How did the race go? What does he think the implications are for the future of the sport and Supersprint events in general? And I think it was just super cool to hear somebody who was so stoked
on the cutting edge of
and it's this is a new thing in the sport, and it's great that these things can still happen. So we think you're really going to enjoy this one. Hot off the presses, Nicholas Roman.
Supersprint.
ARC. Supersprint.
Swim Run.
One word, by the way.
One word.
Supersprint.
Supersprint.
Yeah.
Supersprint.
All right, we're super stoked today to have Nicholas Roman with us. He is basically the man behind the ARC Supersprint event that just happened on May 16th. Welcome to the show, Nicholas.
Thanks, guys. And I just want to point out it's me and it's Elizabeth and Per. There's three of us
Gotcha.
organizing this event.
Awesome. So can you just tell us? I mean, I think, Chip, if I can speak for Chipper, we think that this is a very important phase in the sport where you essentially created a new category of type of swim run. Like, where did this idea come from?
Well, basically, I mean, Elizabeth, Per, and myself, we're all swim runners, and we've been doing races, nationally and internationally for a long time. And we just felt, well, if we're going to create our own race, we want to do something different. And we had tons of ideas, things we want to change and do different, and just sort of challenge the norm. So we came up with this concept and a couple more that we're launching under the brand EX Swim Run, where EX stands for Edsvik, and that's sort of the bay where we're swimming and doing the races, and X is for experience. So we're doing the EX Swim Run series. So basically, it was just an idea. We thought the sport needed something new, something different. And I'm an entrepreneur myself. I love doing things different and challenging the norm. So it fit me perfectly when we decided to do this.
And
awesome.
And how did you come up to this format? I mean, it's extremely short. It's heat based, so 4 to 5 races as a start line at a time.
Solo only, no partners.
No partners. Yeah. There's obviously tactics are completely different, but the course is essentially 2,000-meter runs with a 200-meter swim in between. How
it's even shorter. It's about 1,200 meters in total. So it's like a 700-meter run. And then there's a 200-meter swim across the bay, and then there's like a 400-meter or 500-meter rush up to the finish again, which is actually like 30, 40 meters up a hill. So that finish line is like, it's like 16% incline going straight up. So that was really brutal.
Did you consider the an alternate name of Zone 5 heart rate only race? Because it sounds like this is just full gas right from go.
Oh, yeah. We called it the lactic acid party coming up that hill.
Love it.
I have another race that goes up, a half marathon that goes up that hill as well. And you can just see people, they're almost crying because their legs are sort of trembling going up that hill. It's crazy. And the racers were saying, that hill is brutal. And that's a couple of the heats were actually decided up that hill. But we'll get back to that. So let me the inspiration is, I know cross-country skiing is not a huge sport in the US, but in cross-country skiing, they did something a few years ago, which was really cool. And they sort of invented the sprint series or like really short races where I actually had the opportunity to go to the World Championships in Falun in the north of Sweden and see like the world's best racers from an arena where it's like a couple thousand people just going crazy, seeing these skiers go, and you can see them along the entire course, and they're just going full speed basically, and they're just trying to beat each other, and sort of the tactic is just full speed all the time. So that was sort of the inspiration to try to bring that to swimrun, because let's be honest, it's not a spectator sport at the moment,
right?
If you do like a 14-hour race at the best, my support will see me on like one island, but usually I'm in the middle of the field, so nobody sees me ever.
Yeah. So I love to kind of break down. So you also had a bracket kind of layout situation, which was definitely unique in swimrun, and you have some pretty heavy hitters in there. Former world champions, current world champions. So love to kind of hear the thought process behind how you formatted with the bracket and how you started to get invites out to these upper elite kind of level swim runners, and what was their reception like?
Yeah, so what we did is we decided we'll do like a brackets system where we have like heats, and then we'll have quarterfinal and final, and then quarterfinal, semifinal, final, and we even had a runners up, like a second runners up. So even if you got knocked out in the first heat, you still had a second chance to get back into the semifinal. So that was basically the idea, to do like really small heats of like four to eight, maybe 4 to 6 people in each heat. And with the current restrictions we have in Sweden, we can only do 8 racers you're only allowed to have 8 racers in a race. So it fit us perfectly. And we were actually really happy when we got the permits we needed from the police to do this. So we set it up as an elite race where we had tons of names on the list. And I mean, this was meant to be launched last year, but due to Corona, we had to, postpone it for a year now. So we reached out through Elizabeth, who's she's an elite swim runner herself. She does races with Annika Eriksson sometimes and wins, Silly and a couple of those races. So she knows everyone. And Per, he does the security boat on Ö till Ö and a couple other races. So they basically know everyone. So they were contacting people saying, you want to give this a try? It's a new concept. We're going to try to change the sport and relaunch it in this new format. Are you up for like a really cool thing? And you want to be a pioneer and try this? And we were basically getting, yes from everyone saying, I want to try this.
Yeah.
But then we had to postpone and we had to sort of cancel it last year because you couldn't do a single race in Sweden last year, basically. So then we had to, when we got this permit this year, we said, okay, we'll give it a new try. We started, recalling everybody. I mean, people were injured, people were training, people were away. So we had to look around a bit. And then we decided, okay, we'll get the big names, like the big names that already signed up. And then we'll throw in some wild cards, because what we started realizing is that, endurance racing, the Ö till Ö World Championship, 6, 8, 10 hours races, that's one athlete. And if you do like a super sprint like this, it's 6 minutes, it's 7 minutes. That's an entirely different athlete probably. So we invited some really more unknown wild cards into it, which was really cool because, as I said, it's a different athlete. It's like, getting Usain Bolt to do a marathon or, Kipchoge to do a 100-meter dash. That's two different athletes.
Yeah, maybe Usain Bolt can do UTMB or something like that, and we'll see. I'm sure he would probably put up a rather impressive performance still. But I don't know.
Maybe
We'll see.
And Kipchoge, he does a 250 kilometer marathon, so he's pretty fast as well. But you see the difference. It's a totally different athlete.
That's great. And how did you, was it like seeded in terms of who was in each heat, or was it just kind of random for the initial?
No, it was well thought out, because we had the big names and we tried to seed them, and then we had the wild cards and we were putting them into the different heats. And the idea was, of course, when you try to seed to get sort of the best people in the final. But then, as it turned out, the wild cards were performing so well, and they were crushing some of the champions, which was really cool. We had our favorite, probably, that everybody was saying on the women's side, was Desiree Andersson. All the other competitors were saying, yeah, she's going to win it probably. But there was a couple, outsiders giving her a really tough match. We had Natalie Reck, who's a triathlete. We had Josephine Youngret, and they were really giving her a match. And on the male side, of course, Fredrik Axelgård was probably the big name, and everybody's expecting him to perform really well. But there was a couple outsiders there as well, Max Andersson and Eric Blomberg and Donato Campanini, that we know are really fast.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Yeah,
sounds awesome.
And I think I love Attila has definitely pioneered the badass race video with the drone footage and the really, really awesome footage, and you guys tagged right along with that, and I love some of the images and everything that was coming out. Also really cool to see the support from ARC. This is it's kind of an outside of the box type of race in the swim run scene. And it was cool, or at least from our point of view, it's pretty cool that they were quick to kind of stand up and support you guys. It seemed, and also give a nice bit of press and substance behind the race. Was that kind of a long partnership or a long drawn out process, or were they quick to jump on board with that?
No, we called Dennis and said, Dennis, we have a really cool idea. And we were actually, before last year's planned race, we were getting people sort of to sign on like a non-disclosure document. Even you can't tell anybody about this. And we called Dennis and we said, we have a really cool idea. You're the guy, you're the brand. We want to work with you. This is the idea. What do you think? And he said basically, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. Let's call it the ARC Supersprint. I'll support you guys, and then just make it happen. And he was actually there as well, Dennis, at the event, checking it out.
That's great. I mean, we have a special place in our heart for ARC because they're the first ones that really gave us the time of day when we started this podcast, last year. So I think for us, it does
reconfirms.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise us that Dennis, we're talking about Dennis Bloomberg, would be about it. But it's just sort of confirms the fact that we think that ARC is just super cool. Now, when you decided on who was going to come, did you have a sense of like do you think this is going to be a thing, or were you still I guess what I'm asking is, did you know this was going to be really exciting and popular, or did you think that maybe this is going to be like I'm not sure how it's going to come out?
Yeah, well, when we started calling around and calling people, when Elizabeth started, she was keeping us updated. So she was like, okay, I talked to Annika, she's in. I talked to Daniel Hansson, he's in. And we were like, shit, this is getting exactly where we want it to be.
Yes.
And they're all going to try to battle each other. And I mean, we're getting exactly what we thought we'd get. We want to try something new. We've been doing the long runs. We've been doing sprint series experience, and now this is something entirely different. So we ended up exactly where we wanted with big names and wild cards as well. And then basically, we've never done this race. It's never been done before. So we were a bit worried about, actually the big worry I had, the Sollentuna where the race was run. My house is basically 200 meters from that bay of water that you see there. And I know what that park can look like if it's really sunny on a Sunday. And I was a bit worried that, how fast is this going to go? And is there a risk of, these people, powering into like an old lady walking a dog or something in that park? So we put a lot of effort into the security as well. There's
a picture on the website of two folks running, and there's like some lady with a dog in the background. So yeah,
it was super cool. But we had a lot of volunteers on the course with whistles, so they were whistling as soon as the start. So they were signaling each other, sort of like lifeguards at a beach, signaling each other. So getting people sort of just out of the way. And of course we couldn't have spectators, but our vision for this is, because you can see the entire course from that upper section where the start and finishes. You can see basically the entire course. So we're saying, like, if we could have spectators, you could have like 300, 400, 500 people up on that up at that cafe and sort of where the start is. And then you could have like at least 500,000 people around that park. Can you imagine running that, powering down that hill and just having people cheering you on? That's what a sprint in cross country skiing is like. It's crazy. It's like a big party, and that's what we wanted to do.
And you're feeding, the athletes are sort of like feeding off the energy and that's similar to an Alpe d'Huez type situation up on Tour de France or something when you're climbing that.
That hill, if that hill is, 2 rows of spectators just cheering you on, you're going to power up that. So we're going to see different
and everything
next year, I think.
We need to get some Low Tide Boyz cowbells over there
for the next one.
For the next one, for the 2022 edition. We'll get our merchandise department on that right away.
Cool.
And I love that this definitely offers athletes a different itch to scratch, if you will. Like you talked about early on, the World Series. For average lay people like Chris and I, this 12, 13 hours it would take us, but this is something that is not a massive time investment from an actual race perspective. And that's kind of the feedback that you've been getting from the athletes since the event has wrapped, is that it was kind of just what they were looking for, or something a little bit different.
Yeah, finally a chance to race. Of course, we've been in contact with all the racers afterwards, just asking for feedback, and they're like, it's all thumbs up, super cool. This was a really cool thing. I definitely want to come back next year. Yeah. Let me know how I can be on the starting line next year as well. Just enjoying because in between the races, in between the heats, you could have like 10, 15 to 30 minutes maybe until it was your turn again. So we had sort of like our safety zone, and then we had our racer zone, and then we had like a chill zone where they were all just, hanging out. I mean, they're all friends. They've been around the world together, these racers. So they're all friends, meeting up, catching up. And then it's sort of, okay, let's get ready. They were in the racing zone. They got to the starting line, and you could see them. I mean, if you look at the pictures from the starting line, it's like full speed and full concentration. And they're all enemies for that next 6-7 minutes. And then they're friends again. Cheering each other on.
I love it. It's so great, and that's one of the main things that we love about Swimrun is during the event, the heat of battle, if you will. It's you're putting out your best effort, but along the way, if there's the need to help a friend or a competitor, it still happens, and then after it's all said and done, it's back to being friends.
I mean, you can hear there's one video, I'm not sure if it's published or not yet, where you can see Axegård. He's just coming out from the swim section, and you can hear Max Andersson, who's not in the same heat. He's down there just warming up, cheering him on, going like, "Come on, Fredrik, you have at least 20 meters. Go, go, go! Just power to the finish now." So they're actually, cheering each other on, and in the end, they ended up, battling it out in the final. Those two. So it's like camaraderie, but competition as well.
Awesome. Well, Chris and I noticed a couple interesting things. So this being a much more condensed, consolidated version of Swimrun, did you notice any equipment adjustments from the athletes? We noticed that some people didn't have goggles, it appeared, or were some people opting for a smaller buoy or a larger buoy? What did you notice from an equipment standpoint of the athletes adjusting?
Some people, not mentioning any names, forgot their goggles in the first heat as well.
Oh, okay.
That's probably
what I mean, they were all so stressed. They were sort of, really tense for the start. What we noticed, I sort of went through the racers. I was doing like the speaker, and I was doing the drone footage. And I went through the racers just asking sort of, because we were a bit curious as well, both about the strategy, what strategy you have. I mean, some obviously didn't want to tell it out loud, and what changes to the equipment have you done? And basically, there was one racer who didn't use a pull buoy at all. And then, I mean, Marika Wagner, she never swims with goggles anyway. So I don't think she had goggles. But you could see a difference on the shoes. I mean, if you look at Axegård, he has he doesn't have regular swim run shoes. He's running because it's such a short run section and it's gravel running. There's no technical trail, so he was doing it in I guess like Nike Air or like a regular
track,
running
like
shoes.
Racing flats,
like a racing flat kind of. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean the transitions were pretty easy, so you could basically jump into the water and then you could sort of just power out, and then it was just gravel running. So otherwise we saw normal swim run gear. Really, I mean, they were using the lightest wetsuits because they're only in the water for like 2 minutes, maximum 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes. Otherwise it was pretty basic swim run gear, a minimum.
Yeah, and did you notice, because in the pictures, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell from the photos, but it looks like, hey, for a swim that short, you just get as large a size of paddle as you can potentially move in the water to get you. Yeah,
we had some really big paddles.
Trash can lids out there? Any trash cans?
Yeah.
I mean, and I thought it was, I mean, the times are really impressive. I mean, pretty much everybody was under, around 8 minutes or less. Desiree in the final heat cracked 7 minutes, and the winner, Max Anderson,
low sixes. Yeah,
like 6.5. I mean,
6:10 in the final.
This is pretty. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is pretty
speedy.
Pretty speedy.
Yeah.
Like it's like if you go get like a cup of like a fika or something, you're gonna miss the whole thing.
Don't schedule your fika for after the Arc Super Sprint series.
But I mean, I was asking them a bit because we had when we planned it, we were saying like, okay, each heat will take 15 minutes. So we have sort of a bit of time before and a bit of time after. We were trying to plan it all, stretch it all out. Okay, when will we start? When will we finish? And stuff like that. And we didn't know, I mean, strategy wise, if you look at like speed skating or velodrome cycling in like the Olympics, where they sort of, they start and they just sort of, they're not even going half speed. They're just going really slow, just checking each other out. And then somebody tries to make a move and they all, tag along.
Yeah.
We were expecting that strategy. So I was really surprised when like we set off the first male heat and the first female heat, and then it was like 100% full speed.
They just went bonkers, huh?
Like, what are you doing? You could all just jog from here. You could jog to the water, but you could definitely tell there was strategy there, because like the people that knew that they had the best swimmers in their heat, they were just trying to power away from the swimmers.
Yep.
Trying to
you got to pull out. Yeah.
Big again.
That's a really interesting.
Which was really cool. I mean, you could see Axel Gård, he's a great swimmer. And then there was another guy, Peter Salkvist, good swimmer. And on the female side as well, you could see they were just closing the gap. And you could see that from up at the cafe where the star was. And everybody was like, yeah, look, he's coming now. You can see him sort of inch by inch, yard by yard, catching up.
Honestly,
so exciting.
I could see this being, I feel like I could watch this on television and have sort of viewer enthusiasm explaining what's happening in these heats, because they're so short. You could totally,
similar to the track cycling, just what you were mentioning.
Exactly.
Yeah. Except nobody used that strategy. And
right. No one's being cute. No one's being cute. Now, Michael Limmel of Otala, he has said in the World Championship there is kind of more of this more like cycling tactics that kind of are happening about where okay, we're going to hang back and stay behind this team and then try to pass, but this was like it sounded like it got totally turned up on its head, and it's just all out from the get-go, which is such an exciting thing to watch, I would imagine.
And you could see like after they went down that hill was probably like, it's like 150 meters long, and then it's like 120-degree right turn, and then you're just powering on, it's flat and it's just gravel road, and you're powering around that bay. And just coming down that hill, you could see there was like 20, 50, sometimes 60 meters after that turn. One or two people, a group of two were ahead.
Wow.
So it was, they were crazy. And we were telling them like, well, you have 4 more heats if you're going to go to the final. Save some energy.
You got to get there though.
So I think it's safe to say that this. It sounds like the event was a success. We can hear the enthusiasm in your voice about it. But I'm already thinking about like, well, how can we get more people to do this? Because it sounds like if we're in a non-COVID world, you could do this over 2 days and just run a bunch of different heats, and maybe have all the qualifying on Saturday, then do sort of the finals on Sunday. Are you thinking about it on that level?
Yeah, we have. The whole concept with the EX Swim Run that we launched is sort of like a weekend of swim run. So from the beginning, we had the plan was to do like a super safari on the Saturday when we're at the event. Rigging it, we can send away teams with a map and a local guide, and it's like road gaining, chasing points. Yep. So we tried that last year, and that was really cool. So we're planning on we can do that on the Saturday, and then we want to do the Supersprint in May next year on that Saturday as well, or the Sunday. And then we're going to do like the full EX swim run on the Sunday. So we do like a Saturday race and a Sunday race and a Saturday safari.
I love it.
So we're going to do it. So the EX swim run we're doing like a new thing. We're doing a fall and a spring version. So it's basically, it's the spring version in May and then the fall version in September, October. So you can start and finish your season with us. And the cool thing with that is you're doing like, it's the same conditions. It's going to be really tough trail, and it's going to be cold swimming because the water is going to be cold in May, and it's going to be cold in October. And so you can actually compare your progression for that season. How much better have I gotten? What's my time on the fall version versus the spring version of the EX21?
I love it. Now I have a real serious question. Like how much has your phone been blowing up from swim runners being like, how do I get into the next one? How do we sign up
for this?
Yeah, that's the big question. You can sign up for, obviously, we're hoping a lot of people sign up for the EX21 Fall Edition on September 19th, which is going to be 18 kilometers tough trail and then 5 kilometers cold swimming. And we're going to do that, which is really cool. That's another new thing we're doing. We're doing the pursuit start. So instead, it's sort of the same thing. I ran the Stockholm Marathon way back. I was really crappy at running at that time. And sort of the winner of the marathon passed me on the course. He lapped me. So it's a 2-lap course on the Stockholm Marathon. So just experience how fast he was running when he was finishing his race was amazing for me to see. And it inspired me. So we're doing sort of the same thing with this swim run. So we're going to start everybody in, the upside down order. So we're going to start the best swimmers at the very last, at the end, sort of with like a 5-minute interval, sending people off. So they're going to chase you. So we could have, like, if we have like Axegård or somebody at starting last, he's going to chase me, and he's obviously going to pass me somewhere on the course, but then I get to experience him, experience the best passing you, which is really cool.
Yeah, it's like a reality check.
Yeah, as he runs by you and spins you around like a top.
And for him, I mean, for them, the challenge will be sort of, if it's tough trail, I mean, they have to find their position where they're going to pass me, because I'm slow in front, obviously. Because, I mean, in a normal race, when I see them, I mean, I'm in the middle of the field, and when I see them, they've had a shower, they've had a drink, they've had something to eat, and they're just waiting for the prize ceremony. And you can see me coming in 4 hours later.
That's just like us.
We feel you there.
That's exactly us. So it reminds me, there's this comedian, Bill Murray, who's pretty famous in the States. I'm sure he's well known over there too. That he always said that it'd be really interesting in the Olympics if they had, all the elite athletes and they just had like a regular person run,
like
just for like context.
Benchmark,
just for like like average person running the 100 yards, like just to see what like normal people would do this at. So I love that style of format because I mean it really lets you kind of really get a sense of the talent that it takes, and it isn't just swimming and running. It's swim running.
It's cool. I mean, when I did Ötö in 2019, and we were sort of in the middle of the field, obviously, but we had like the best swimmer, I think, in all history in Sweden, Therese Alshammar. She was doing it with Petter, and they were swimming by us each swim, and then we were passing them on each run. And just experiencing her speed when she swam was just amazing for me to see. That you can go that fast is just crazy. But then, of course, we just ran because we're good runners. So we were just, crushing them on the islands. And then in the end, we just said, "We'll see you at Una." And then we just, we ran away from them.
Nice.
But back to your question, how do you get into this? We're actually going to present after that EX21 Fall Edition in September. We're going to present the concept for next year's ARC Supersprint and how we're going to open up for sort of non-elite to get a chance to stand on the starting line next to the world champion. But we're going to keep that secret for a while. So we're going to do that. We're going to reveal that after the Fall Edition.
Awesome.
So we're focusing on the Fall Edition now, full on, get that race done. And then we're going to reveal that. Because obviously, I mean, people have already been asking, how can you put my name on the list? And we've been calling Elizabeth.
Totally. And when we look at, the swim run in the United States is really taking off. We had Attila Catalina last year was Attila's first race in the United States, and it was a huge success. And then kind of COVID derailed everything, as it did for a lot of folks. And we're seeing similar kind of momentum be building this year. And I know obviously the hardcore swim runners are going to be really into this, but I think this kind of super sprint or even a sprint sort of format really is a great opportunity to open up swim run to a whole new world of folks who are, I mean, Attila World Championship, it's an intimidating race. Not everyone is going to be fit to do 12 hours of endurance swimming and running over the day. So maybe an amateur maybe taking 10 to 15 minutes to do this race is a much more obtainable physical challenge for a lot of folks. And I think offering some sort of amateur division or a larger bit could be exciting for the growth of the sport for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, next year we'll probably see different equipment, different strategies, and maybe some other people on the starting line. I mean, I went to sort of a big award ceremony for the track and field and sort of the sports people in Sweden, and there's like the world champion orienteer. I mean, she just crushes everybody. She wins everything. Yeah. So I asked her, I mean, how's your swimming? She said, it's shit. I said, pity, because I know you'd crush everybody in the running section. If you could only just swim like 200 meters, it would be really cool to get somebody like totally different in there and see, okay, what can they do? Because when you look at cross country skiing, you have sprint specialists. I mean, definitely they're not doing like the 50K races. They're only doing these short, and it's just 100% pure lactic acid, just going crazy. It's a different racer. So we'll see who turns up next year and who qualifies.
Yeah, before the event, did you sort of have thoughts or guesses about, this is going to be this sort of format favors kind of the sprinter, the sprinter runner, or is it going to favor more of a pretty well-rounded one, or maybe a swimmer can pull out enough ahead in the swim and hang on for the run? What were your kind of initial thoughts on how the race was going to go, and then how did it? We know how it unfolded, but did your theories hold up?
Well, I mean, my idea was that either we'll see sort of a real tactical racing, as I was saying, sort of, jogging away, just looking over your shoulder, checking really everybody out, who's going to go for it. We didn't see that, and then I was expecting sort of the swimmers, basically. I mean, because if you do if you're in like zone 5 running 700 meters, and then you just jump into like 11, 12 degree water, if you can handle that sort of that power swimming 200 meters and then come up on the other side, you're either sort of fit to run up that hill or you're dead. I mean, your legs, you could just be so tired that you can't even, you take a step at all. But basically, I think it was, I mean, Max Andersson on the male side, he was sort of an outside favorite because we know, I mean, if you look at his sort of composition, he's quite thin. He doesn't weigh a lot. I mean, obviously he's strong as hell, but there's not a lot of muscle. He's kind of petite. And we say that's probably the type of racer that could do really well in this concept.
Well, I mean, I guess you could say the same for Desiree.
She's not a big girl, but she's super strong and a great swimmer. So, so they were worthy champions. And I mean, they made it all the way.
I mean, it just sounds like, I mean, I've said it already, but just the enthusiasm in your voice talking about this, like it's just so
infectious.
Great. It's so great. I mean, it's great. I mean, and it can't be overstated, the fact that, the sport is basically 15 years old, 16 years old, and there's still innovation that can happen. And I mean, I'm super stoked for you guys that you put this on, that it was a success, and I'm really looking forward for the next one.
Fall.
I want to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm going to be tuning into that one for sure. Do you
come over?
Yeah,
we'll give you a spot next to. Well, we're not doing the Supersprint in the fall version. We're doing the Supersprint in May next year. So you have a year to train now. Full speed, just go.
Okay.
Find
a track
and intervals.
Yeah, if you have like just like a comedian leg, that'll be us. Yeah.
Is there a pro-am or something?
Yeah, we could do something like a pro-am.
Awesome.
No, I mean, because my sort of swim running, I do a few races, but basically, I mean, I'm into it I live at Runmarö during the summer, and I have a summer house there, so I've sort of grown up out there. So for me, it's all about nature, experience, and sort of safari type of swim run, where I just sort of go with a friend or two, like an hour and a half along the course of the RTA course, or we just go somewhere else. But when it's race time, it's race time. So I do a couple races, and I mean, I'm not great, but I'm okay. But I just turn on when it's race time. I just go full in as well.
Yeah,
nice, awesome.
So, and I mean, I'm going to try this course when nobody's looking and see.
Are you going to put it on Strava? Or are you going to have that one?
I'll keep that private.
25 minutes. Before, oh man, I can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Before the race, Per, because we did like a test of the course with a couple people, and he had the record. He did it in like just over 9 minutes. So they're shaving like 3 minutes off that time.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Jeez, they're just.
But I mean, the course is there. Athletes. You can do it whenever you want.
Yeah.
And just give it a try. It's since the swim is so short and it's so sort of, it's right in that bay. Right by the castle and by the cafe and everything, so you can do it. I mean, there's no boats going that far in anyway, so you can give it a try if you want.
Well, that's what I love about Sweden. It's like pretty much everyone's cool with just swimming across bodies of water that are, all the parks have bodies of water. People just swim in them like Hellas.
Just what you do.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
my only fear when I go out swimming out in the archipelago, sometimes I do it a lot on my own. Sometimes I go swim running with my dog and a couple of times with friends as well. It's the water scooters or whatever you call them, like the water motorcycles.
The jet skis?
Yeah.
The jet skis, yeah. Because they're so fast and if you're out boating in the archipelago, you're not just cruising. I mean, you're going from A to B. But the jet skis are just sort of, doing donuts and just powering like 50 knots. And I'm so scared of those hitting me. So I try to keep away from them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
wise.
We
need you to stay safe.
That sounds like good advice. Just stay away from the jet skis.
Well, no doubt you're excited about EX Swim Run. We're excited. If you're listening to this and you want to check out more, head on over to exswimrun.se, and you can learn all about what's happening for EX21, the Supersprint series, and their Super Safari series that they have as well.
Yeah,
and then the fall edition.
Yeah, and the fall edition there, the EX21 on September 19th.
Right.
Register for that one accordingly.
Yeah, well, Nicholas, thank you so much for coming on and being willing to do this real quick for us so we can sort of get this hot off the press. We're super stoked for you and for this event. And keep it going.
Yeah, we will. And we're gonna do some new stuff in EX, and we just hope people like it and enjoy it and want to test it. I didn't mention we're actually doing like the grand finale for that EX21 course is a 6-meter base jump from the Falcon Mountain, which is just by the finish line. So you have to do like a 6-meter jump off a ramp that we built, which is really cool.
I love it.
Wow. Well, I can't think of a better way to wrap that up with the 6-meter jump. That's holy smokes. Giddy up.
Yeah.
Well,
love it.
Nicholas, thanks so much. And you got 2 fans here with the Low Tide Boyz, and we'll be cheering you on, and we'll be can't wait to see what happens on the 19th of September with the fall edition.
Cool. And I'll look you up when I come to California and we can do some swim running together.
Absolutely.
Oh, we would love to take you around.
Super cool.
All right, Nicholas, thanks so much, man. Have a good one.
Okay, guys. Enjoy. Have a great day.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to the Low Tide Boyz, a Swimrun podcast. Make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast and leave a review on iTunes if you're so inclined.
You can also sign up for a newsletter at lowtideboyz.com. That's boys with a Z. And check out our meme page at The Low Tide Boyz on Instagram. If you have any questions or suggestions for the show, drop us an email at lowtideboyz@gmail.com.
We'd like to thank Writing Easy Records for our show music, and of course our wives for their support and tolerance of our swimrun activities, hobbies, and other bullshit we do.
Finally, you can support our efforts on Patreon. Until next time, get out there and go for a swim.
And then a run.
And then another swim.
Then another run.
And then another swim.
And then run to the finish line. And just keep going until you're done.
Yes, or
until
run
you
to
cross the finish line.
Or run to the car.
Or run to your car.
Somewhere. Just keep running.
Peace.
Peace.